Hello, everyone. My topic, compared to other reports, may be a very narrow area about Northern Sea load laws conditions. So my topic is compared to older law on NSR and the new one of the Russia. From mandatory icebreaker guiding to permit regime, changes about Northern Sea load in the new Russia laws. I think it's two parts. One is two important changes of new Russia rules on NSR. Two is briefly analysis of the impacts of these changes on the international commercial operating of NSR. I think in new law of the NSR, there is very important changes. I think. I think it's most changes is more clearly for the range of the NSR, especially its northern boundaries of NSR. So compare the old and the new. In property is maybe no any changes. It's or the historical national unified intransportant line. I think it's no changes. In east boundary, in the range of the NSR, it's include the eastern boundary and the western boundary and the northern boundary. In eastern and the western, there is no changes. But in northern boundary, I think it's trend too clearly. You can see this map from the other papers and the literature of the Northern Sea load range. You can see some scholars think Northern Sea load through the North Pole. You can see, but in Russia's new law, the range of NSR, especially for northern boundary of NSR, there's clarification, description by using the word comprising of instead of the word and includes. I think there is a clarification process. So the red one is afford to according to EEZ 200 EEZ boundaries. In the new law, have not clearly to description of the northern boundary, but it gave the description with the line of maritime demarcation with the United Nations of America and kept the sniff parallel in Bering Sea. What's the agreement about demarcation with the USA? So we for the project this issue, we can see it's gave a very clearly the boundary. You can see this. You can see this point. You can see this point. So if this point is identified, so along the northern boundary of the NSR is clarification, I think. My analysis is made 1 year ago. I prepared this when I prepared this report just to see the map published by the Russia NSR administration website, the water area of the NSR. I think it's very similar. Okay. Second is I think is very positive, and commercial vessel is permitted to navigation on the NSR without icebreaker assistance based on ice conditions and the vessel's class. You can see in older law, is mandatory icebreaker assistance were provided. The Wilikowski and the Sokal, Lapjev and Sandikov, and must be mandatory icebreaker assistance. In other regions, mandatory icebreaker assistance is one of the 6 package choice, but choice right belong to the Marine Operations Headquarters. So is, as you know, this is mandatory icebreaker assistance. In the new one, so icebreaker assistance is one of the pilotage service, but the users have not choice right in the application form. There are no any items of applying the service. It's belong to NSRA as older law, but NSRA decide based on announcement permission standard for the independent navigation in advance. So thus this right will be limited. So I think this right will be limited. For example, if a vessel has an ice class Arctic 6, will be permitted to navigation without icebreaker assistance on NSR. You can see to Arctic 6 independent. If through the every area, all is other. All is other. It means if your vessel is Arctic 6, you can independent through all the NSR. About the sea ice conditions. Divided 3 conditions: heavy, medium, and light. Russia published in advance the sea ice conditions along the area of the NSR. You can see, for example, this is published in May about for the 2000 for this year for the first half of navigation ice conditions forecast for coming first half of navigation. So about ice conditions, HML are also announced in advance as follows. SC, there are no heavy area to Arctic 5 were permitted to navigation independently. So if your vessel is Arctic 5, you can throw independently on the NSR in this year, I think. But it's just analysis from the text of the new law. In practice, maybe need to further observation, because the sea ice move is very there is uncertainty. Maybe from the other area move to the NSR sea route. So there are some uncertainty in the NSR in technically. So another point is briefly analysis the impacts of these changes on international commercial operating of NSR. I think there are two positive impacts on future international ship exploit on NSR and the transport routes. Now, more and more papers may be mention the transport routes. One, I think, is maybe the positive impact is promote to development independent navigation operational model on NSR with better sea ice conditions and more efficient technology. For example, Arctic's double acting ship technology. It maybe can use both ice and few costly free ice area. Another, I think, is promote to explore transport routes in Arctic high seas internationally with clearly the range of NSR waters. This map, as usual, Shuelong through the NSR and Arctic Sea route in 2012, and the green one is go through the NSR, and the back is through the high seas transport sea route. I think with the sea ice conditions become better and better, transport sea route maybe okay. Maybe have the best the explore. So I briefly the conclusion. I think NSR and the transporter routes is becoming a new Silk Way, connecting with main world markets. Russia's new law has a positive effect for promoting NSR and transporter shipping. China has made a one zone and one way strategy with target for promoting cooperation with Middle and East South Asia states through the transportation infrastructures connections each other. Two weeks ago, China and Russia has published a joint statement. It includes Russia will facilitate China's goods shipment using its railway networks, ports, and the Northern Sea route. So Russia's new law become a good investment for the facilitating China's goods shipment using NSR. Thank you.
Thank you, Zhang Xia, for your presentation. And our next speaker is Hera Grímsdóttir from Reykjavik University talking about the DMA project.
So hello, my name is Hera, and the title of my presentation is Requirement Analysis of an Open Access Decision Model for Strategic Planning of the Arctic Region. I know it's not the shortest title and not really descriptive, but I do hope, and I'm not going to ask you by the end if you remember the name of it, but I do hope that you understand what it was that I was trying to do and why it's valuable. So this was part of my master thesis from the Reykjavik University in construction management, and was the first phase in a program arranged by CORDA, or Center of Risk and Decision Analysis, which is in the Reykjavik University. Their project name is an Open Access Decision Model for the Arctic Region. It aims at providing answers on how the rapidly growing human activities in the Arctic will affect the economy by developing a decision model. And by using this model, scientists, business people, and government and other stakeholders can enter and retrieve data regarding their decision problem. It's organized into 4 chronological phases. In the first phase, it is about the model abstraction, defining the parameters. The second phase brings together different stakeholders, sorting out the data, prioritizing it. The third phase is about the programming and testing the user interface, and the fourth phase is about the implementation application. So you can see the colored box represent the study that I did. So if we start by looking why this is important, why do we need a decision model? Why is it valuable? I mean, can we just make a decision based on our instinct? We know that there's a lot of risk and uncertainty, like we were presented before about the NSR route. So if we take a closer look at the risk, normally risk is defined as an event that could bring threat or opportunity to some objective that we want to achieve. So if we say that there's some uncertainty about the outcome, we say that there's a risk associated with it. And risk management is about assessing the probabilities and putting some quantitative data to the risk. And then this risk can be transformed into different scenarios or values, which can be priceless when we're taking strategical or tactical decisions. But uncertainty, on the other hand, that can be defined as an array or a distribution of possible outcome of these events in the future. So if you just look at the example, this is stated in August last year, the same day, then the science shot says, Arctic warming twice as fast as the rest of the world. I mean, this kind of tells you that this is going really fast, and I could probably sail through there just tomorrow. But the same day, the Telegraph says, global warming, no, actually we're cooling, claim scientists. This example shows that the gap or the uncertainty is quite big. There's a big gap between the minimum and the maximum value. And the truth probably lies somewhere between, not necessarily in the middle, but somewhere in between. So if we have this in mind, when we think about the Arctic, which we know that is a fairly unexplored area, we can say that, and we know that I think we can all agree on that there's a considerable uncertainty, both with respect to economics, environmental, social, legal, and political issue. But at the same time, there are many threats and opportunities. And these opportunities might be in shipping, it might be in miscellaneous service, the utilizations of resources, tourism, and so on and so on. So if I summarize this, I think that we can all say that the future of the Northing is exciting, but it's subjected to considerable uncertainty, and many outcomes and scenarios are possible. So the need for a holistic picture to understand all this is great. And this is what the CORDA project is all about, is to get an oversight. What's going on? How will this look like in the future? And they want to build this, or we want to build this model. Then scientists or stakeholders, business people, they can investigate how all these parameters impact each other in the future. And they can gain some insight about how the future might look like. It will not tell you exactly what will happen, because it depends on the parameters, and if they change or if they don't. This is normally just a very simple picture of a decision model. It just relies on the input decision model and output. So, if we look back at the Arctic, how do we start by making this simple model that I showed you earlier with all these different parameters? It has multiple scenarios, and regarding one decision, this is just an example of all the parameters that you need to think about. It's safety, tourism, business activities, marine resource, environment, and so on and so on. So there's multiple scenarios, and under these parameters are also sub-parameters. And all of these parameters, they're connected. They impact each other. So the first problem is that we have many possible scenarios. And the second problem is that they all impact each other. So how do we prioritize? How do we know which parameter is important and which one is not? So that's where we come into the purpose of my research. My research was to scope this problem, to start it, and to define the working methods. So to do that, I decided to focus it down, to narrow the focus and only focus on the business activities and the sub-parameters under that. So I'm focusing on the input of the decision model. So the object of my research was to bring together different stakeholders, to define the parameters, to prioritize them, to build a conceptual model which visualizes the decision model in a clear and easy understood way, and to make a working plan that can be used to define all the other parameters in the Corta project. So to do that, I designed this research plan that can be used in other decision problems as well. It's divided into 3 steps, as the column shows, and each step is divided into 3 phases. The first phase is the planning, the second is the data collection, and then the analysis. So in the first phase, you have to tell me if I talk too fast. Sorry. So in the first phase, we're defining the parameters. I did that by interviewing various stakeholders. When no new parameters would emerge, I would say that the first step was closed. And I would use the output from that step as an input into the step 2. The purpose of step 2 was to validate these outcomes, to see if those parameters would really impact Iceland in the next 20 years. And also to put quantitative data on these parameters. I did this by sending survey through the internet. So when this step was finished, I used the output from both step 1 and step 2 to build a conceptual model, to visualize the decision problem. So if you look at the results from step 1, the columns represent the stakeholders, and the lines shows what parameters they think will impact Iceland in the next 20 years. The first line shows which one they think has the highest priority, and so on and so on. If I summarized it and group it together, they agreed that those parameters that would impact Iceland the most in the next 20 years, sharing first and second place, would be activities in Greenland and miscellaneous service. Sharing third to fourth place would be rescue and security and tourism. Sharing fifth to sixth place would be natural resources and fisheries. And 7 to 8 would be transportation and transshipment port. This is, of course, only focusing on Iceland. What they thought would be the most uncertainty in Iceland regarding these parameters was the communication and the preparation of the Icelandic politicians and industry, how we would plan for this. Also the lack of infrastructure and the credibility of equipment in Iceland, uncertainty in politics, and of course then the climate and the weather extreme weather in the Arctic. So this output was used as an input into the step 2, as I said previously. There I wanted to put firstly I wanted to validate that those parameters would impact Iceland, and I wanted to put some numerical data on them. Here you can see that all the parameters defined in step 1 are expected to have high or very high impact on Iceland in the next 20 years. But you can also see the line shows the standard deviation is quite high, and that indicates that the participants in the survey were not in agreement. You can also see, if I compare this to the results in step 1, that the prioritization is not the same. The survey shows that fishery, tourism and rescue and security service transshipment ports are the highest. Greenland is the third lowest there. But that wasn't really the purpose of my study. The reason for this, I think, is that the response rate was only 50%. I should have continued with the study, but the time was limited because I wanted to finish my master's degree in time and deliver the report. But the purpose was to establish those parameters and to see if they would impact Iceland in the next 20 years. So this output was used to build the conceptual model. This is a conceptual model which visualizes the decision model. The red circles shows those parameters, and the sizes indicate how much they will impact Iceland. The grey circles are then the sub-parameters of these parameters, and the arrows shows how they're connected. It gives a good and easily understood visualization of the decision problem, but at the same time it shows that how complicated this is, how all the parameters are related, and that we can't really take a decision about one parameter without taking all the others into account, because they are all impacting each other. This was the fourth purpose of this study. That was to scope the project and to make the work plan that could be used to define all the other parameters. And it showed that this was very robust design and good for its purpose. So in the first step, as I said, there was a qualitative data collection with interviews to define the parameters. When no new parameters would merge, I would go into the second phase to validate the parameters and to put some quantitative or numerical values on them. When I would not need more data, I should go to the step 3. The conclusion is that I did need more data, but the time was a limiting factor, so that's why I moved to step 3, because the purpose of the research was there. What's going on today is that we are continuing the survey. And also, if we go back here, the strength of the relationship of the arrow that was not within the scope of the study. So there's another student calculating that today as well. So we are continuing. So, if I concluded, all these parameters have been defined. We have a visualization of the decision problem and a work procedures to follow it. But, as I said in the beginning, there are many more parameters that affect the decision making in the Northern. And we at the Korta, we have moved to the second phase now, the second red box there. And it's different from the first phase because it relies on international cooperation. It relies on different stakeholders, different research. And so it requires cooperations or collaboration between these fields. So we have taken the initial step. We have ensured the initial financing, but I would like to use this opportunity to advertise for people who are interested, both from business sectors or disciplines or researchers, to participate in this exciting research. And with the hope of that we can actually get an insight or understand how the future could look like, because that's helpful in making decisions. So as I said in the beginning, I don't expect you to remember the name of this presentation, but I do hope that you understand the value of it and what it was that I was trying to do. Thank you. And if you have questions, thank you.
So thank you, Hera, for your interesting presentation, and we go further and take discussion after that. Our next speaker is Mr. Shou Jianmin from Shanghai Maritime University, talking about container transportation. Please.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great honor for me to present here in the distinguished conference. Also, it is a very precious conference to me due to uneasy travel to here. So my topic is from Europe to Shanghai and back, a little change from the paper, and analyze of the Arctic passage from container shipping. So I also, from another view, from the shipping business, we see why should a non-Arctic state care about Arctic affairs. So I hope to explain in my paper why is from Europe to Shanghai and back. It might conclude a new cooperation model between China and Europe. And what is the potential to go through the Arctic passage for container shipping? And how to improve the competitiveness of the Arctic passage? And where to build a new hub-and-spoke harbor. So that's my paper want to solve. The main contents divided into 6 parts. You can see from the PPT. The first part, introduction, is the base of my research. So from the view of long term, sea ice extent tends to decrease in all months and virtually all regions, although the minimum sea ice extent rebounded somewhat in the summer 2013. We might have seen the estimates produced by the National Shou and Ice Data Center. And the decreasing rate of sea ice extent in summer is higher than in winter. And in winter, the ice pack, which was composed of first-year ice, has the expanding trend. It provides the navigation possibility with an aid of an icebreaker. It is predicted that the total days, including free navigable days and ice-breaking days, will reach 150 days or more before 2050. So the commercial navigation conditions through NSR, mentioned the last report, is relatively mature. Naturally, shipping between Asia and Europe has been paid a lot of attention, especially on the value of container transport. So, container shipping has developed fast. The proportion of container shipping and trade between Asia and Europe is the biggest in the world. By 2013, total global container handling capacity had reached 640 million TEU annually. We may see from the figure. With the development of container shipping, 3 trunk routes, the Trans-Pacific, Asia, Europe, and the Transatlantic, provide the bulk of the global shipping trade. These 3 routes constitute the largest volume of trade in the world, accounting for more than a third of all global trade. From the table, we can see the largest one-way container traffic route is from Far East to Europe. The highest number is on the westbound route from Far East to Europe, the red one. And with a container originating from China comprise the largest proportion of containers on the Trans-Pacific and the East Asia-Europe routes. As can be seen in table, on the westbound road, containers originating from China account for 70% of the total trade on the East Asia-Europe route. Therefore, China is a key role on the route of East Asia Europe. And the Arctic route will have a great impact on trade between East Asia and Europe. With the development of the different port structures, shipping line networks evolved through three main stages. There are traditional stages, co-harbor port, and multiple lines. For the development of the Arctic container shipping, we should study a structure of container shipping network for the Arctic Passage. So after analyzing all harbor ports model, a most suitable network pattern, hub and spoke harbor system, is selected for the construction of the shipping network through the Arctic Passage. The pattern's operation way is that cargoes are transported from different origins through spoke to the switching point, the harbor, and to another switching point, and to other spoke. So, firstly, cargoes must arrive at a switching point to transit in the network, and then share the favorable non-stop transport service to their destinations. This network is helpful to concentrate shipment volume to increase transoceanic ships' loading rate to realize an economy of scale on trunk routes. We can see from the model. China origin ships on the Europe-bound route typically transit through Hong Kong and Singapore. Their cargoes then merges into the multiple shipping lines network on the Asia-Europe route. They then pass through the Strait of Malacca, across the Indian Ocean, pass Somali waters, transit the Suez Canal, and reach the main European ports of Antwerp, Rotterdam, and Hamburg. The entire journey from Shanghai port to Rotterdam port is about 10,651 nautical miles. It is the busiest road for container transportation in the world. The container volume on the East Asia-Europe road from mainland-based ports of China is about 70%, you see, of the total volume. Most of them from Shanghai. Constructing a harbor-spoke harbor shipping network for the Arctic passenger should produce more economic proficiency. For the purposes of a comparison between the traditional Suez route and the Arctic route, Shanghai port and Rotterdam port usually are considered as the terminal harbor ports of the harbor-spoke harbor networking model on the East Asia-Europe shipping line. With Shanghai port set as the origin port from China, containers on the Arctic passenger route would pass through NSR, and the entire journey from Shanghai to Rotterdam is about 7,870 nautical miles. If Rotterdam port is considered as a harbor port in the network system through the Arctic passenger, a proportion of container cargoes have to turn back to their destination by feeder lines after these cargoes arrive at Rotterdam. So, example, the cargo's destination is Oslo. If ship's first call through the Arctic passenger is Rotterdam, these cargoes have to turn back from their coming route. So, thus a more suitable harbor port should be sought in Northern Europe to enhance competitiveness of the Arctic passage. There are several candidates which could be built into a new hub-and-spoke harbor in the regions of Norway, Iceland, and so on. So here we set up an analytical program to compare the costs on the different passengers and in the different shipping networks by assuming a new harbor port in the network system through the Arctic Passage. So let's analyze more about the container ship fleet. Now is the largest commercial fleet in the world and has the broadest influence on world trade. From when the first container ships began operating with a capacity of 100 TEU, container ships have evolved through 6 generations up to the present generation of container ships with a capacity of 18,000 TEU. So very, very big change. A greatly increased number of container ships are now synchronized with an astonishingly increased speed of container ship loading and unloading capacity from the change. Up to October 2013, there were 5,137 container ships operating globally. And the total TEU capacity was about 17 million TEUs. In the present container fleet, 4,000 TEU to 6,000 TEU ships comprise the largest category of ships, as can be seen in the table. For a cost analysis reference, ship types sailing on non-Arctic passengers are listed in the table. Ship size between 1,000 TEU and 11,388 TEU have been analyzed for their suitability for operation in the Arctic Passage. The cost and the mass of Arctic ships would increase with the addition of thick hulls and strong propulsion systems and equipment for combating freezing conditions. And de-icing equipment will also needed to be added to standard type ships. So cost should be added. And this is a model by establishing container shipping cost models based on the Arctic and also non-Arctic passenger routes, respectively. The shipping economy through the both types of routes is analyzed from the model, and the calculation results of the model are compared. So the factors including ship capital, fuel, crew wages, and management cost, and so on. It's okay. So the cost of container shipping through the Arctic Passage consists of some same factors except for Somali seawater security and Suez Canal toll. Let's look at the result. From this table, we can see the voyage time through the Arctic Passage is only by 1.2 days less than the voyage time through the Suez Canal route, though the route through the Arctic is much shorter than the route through the Suez Canal. This is because of some safety conditions. The speed is low in the Arctic Passage. So for costs, however, there's a 10% decrease in the voyage cost for container ships sailing through the Arctic Passage compared with to the ships transiting through the Suez Canal. And the fuel reduction cost reduced about 35 degrees for all container ship size. So we can see the comparison of the data. And so also we analyze the systems, different systems through the Arctic and non-Arctic roads. And that a new port and the Rotterdam port are designed as a terminal hub spot for the Arctic Passage and the Suez Canal routes, respectively. The results show that the voyage times for the new port network system are approximately 2.5 days fewer than for the Rotterdam network system. Larger ships reduce voyage costs by 20%, and the fuel costs decrease by almost 40%. In the future, a new port in Northern Europe has the potential to become a very important container hub-and-spoke harbor for East Asia to Europe container trade. So there are some conclusions that sailing time advantage for ships using the Arctic passenger is not bigger, but the voyage costs of the different container ship size are lower. The greatest advantage of sailing through the Arctic passenger is that fuel costs are much reduced. To develop and exploit container shipping on the Arctic passenger is variable. The most suitable network type for container shipping networks on the Arctic passenger route is the hub-and-spoke harbor network system. So a new hub-and-spoke harbor would need to be constructed in Northern Europe to ensure the viability of the Arctic passenger route. Also, shipping impact on the environment in Arctic area should be considered from the global view, not limiting in the Arctic area because of the reduction of the fuel consumption. Much bigger in the Arctic if goes through the Arctic passenger. So that's all my presentation. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Professor, for the most interesting input. And now we have our next speaker, Bianca Tiantian Zhang from the University of Iceland. And after that, and before the lunch, we have time for discussion about the topics of this session. Please.
Thank you. Good morning, dear friends, colleagues, guests. My name is Bianca Tiantian from University of Iceland and affiliated with the Arctic Institute. Today I'm going to talk about Iceland's viability as an emerging Arctic transshipment hub. The idea has been emerged ever since the ice started melting, but the systematic analysis has not been put enough emphasis on. So therefore, the purpose of this study is for this analysis and assessment. And the methodology of the study is based on common competitiveness studies models. And there are developed metrics and indicators for various purposes, including countries, cities, and other services. But for this purpose, we have to develop a unique model, and we have to choose indicators and adapt the metric. Also, we have to bear in mind that competitive analysis is not about analyzing the competition, at least not only about analyzing the competition. And what is it about? In this case, it is about strategic positioning and knowing the weaknesses and strengths and improve the performance. So here is the chosen indicators grouped into two groups. Namely competitiveness and readiness. Competitive indicators include the current situation not likely to change dramatically. And readiness indicators include the factors that are still forming with time urgency. First, starting with geographic location, Iceland is small and central, same old story, and we can see 3 of the 4 proposed Arctic transshipment shipping lanes are passing through Iceland. That's the Northern Sea Route, and the transpolar sea route, and the so-called Arctic Bridge. This image illustrates the marine Arctic traffic density in 2012 according to satellite data. Oh, have I been using this? Okay, so you can hear me better. This data is from 2012, so it might have increased. Also, we have to bear in mind that this data include all kinds of marine activities, so fishing activities, fishing vessels are also included. But still, there's a good indicator that there's a very dense marine traffic around Iceland. And also another very important factor is the wave and wind. Here is a typical example of wave forecast around Iceland. The wave can be quite harsh around Iceland due to the weather system. However, there's more ideal location in the northeast coast of Iceland. We will come to that point later. Moving on to infrastructure, the most important infrastructure assessing this purpose is marine ports. There are more than 70 marine ports in Iceland, despite of the size and frequency of usage. There are at least 16 of them with relatively deep anchorage. 31% of ports are equipped with limited ship repair services, and 8 of them are equipped with fixed or mobile cranes and small tonnage lifts. And Iceland has been trying to focus on building a transshipment hub specifically for the Arctic shipping purposes. It is called the Finnafjord Project. And as we can see, the first picture in the orange frame shows all the locations of ports in Iceland, and the second image shows the location of Finnafjord. And the third picture, you can see the construction site planned for this area. Let's get a closer look at this project. There's a large industrial area suitable for construction, and it is suitable for a port with rather long quays and with a very excellent deep anchorage. It is ice-free all year round, thanks to the Gulf Stream. And however ideal it looks like, the investigation may take more than 10 years before any practical actions take place. Well, Iceland was trying to build up this marine port. There are already existing marine ports from other countries, Arctic countries, can be potential competitors. And this is a simple comparison of 2 other ports. One is Kirkenes port in the northern tip of Norway, and the Murmansk port in the Arctic Russia. As you can see, a lot of construction details in the Finnafjord project is still, the details are not revealed, so it is unknown. This is, of course, not the only thing Iceland has to offer. The energy structure of Iceland can be also a big advantage, thanks to the abundance of renewable energies, especially geothermal energy and hydropower energy. The electricity price in Iceland is almost 1/3 cheaper than that of mainland Europe. Coming to legal framework, we have a small comparison of shipping requirements, international law. Iceland has ratified compared with other countries. These include many aspects, including LLO and IMO protocols and SOLAS, and safety, including safety at sea and environmental protocols. This, of course, will affect Iceland's state responsibility and therefore its performance. As for Coast Guard capabilities and search and rescue team, the Icelandic Coast Guard is equipped with 4 vessels. That's Thor, T, Ike, and Baldur. It's all great names for Coast Guard ships. And 1 aircraft and 2 helicopters for patrolling and immediate medical transport. Search and rescue has been remaining as the core work of Icelandic Coast Guard's duties. And the search and rescue has been also conducted by the Icelandic Search and Rescue Team, which is consists of thousands of well-trained volunteers. As for oil spill prevention and response, there is a developed national policy, and responders are mainly local and municipal responders because ports are owned by the government in Iceland. And policy formation is another very important factor. I think Iceland's policy formation towards a country profile as a transshipment hub has been pushed forward by heads of government, and this statement by the Minister of Innovation is a good summary of that. He says, "Nothing about us without us," meaning that nothing decided about Arctic should exclude Iceland being part of this, and Iceland needs to claim and assure its Arctic coastal state status. And there has been various presidential initiatives, and the president has been acting very actively in making this happen. And here is President Olaf Ragnar Grímsdóttir standing in front of an Icelandic container ship in Portland, 2013. And of course, it cannot go far without economic incentives. And Iceland's economy is in this post-collapse recovery. It's stabilizing, but uncertainties still remain. And there has been oil and gas exploration expected in 2 areas, that is the Dreki area and Gamur area, and the lease has been already granted. This, of course, will increase the activity in marine transport. And the last 2 indicators include the network and information development that has been elaborated in detail yesterday. I will not do any unnecessary repeating. And the last indicator will be networking and the cooperation progress. And that is quite obvious and straightforward, and we are all beneficial from that and from this conference, and increase research on this area. So I will also not waste our time on that. So, jumping straight to the results. So we assign values to each indicator and their sub-indicators, and the results are calibrated, and the values are timed with their assigned weights. Of course, each indicator has not the even weight. So the calibrated result came out as 8.2. And we can see also net chart indicating the strengths and weaknesses of Iceland's competitivity. And how to interpret this result? Does it mean Iceland has a literally 8.2 score on these competitive studies? Not quite accurately, because, well, in these studies, there are limitations because first we make 2 assumptions. The first assumption is the Arctic transshipment routes will become feasible in the near future. And second is there are enough incentives to utilize the routes. And the second one is especially tricky to assess because in reality, ship owners' incentives are actually less positive than we perceive in the academic world. and possible flaws in the metric design and choice of indicators. And common difficulties in interdisciplinary studies. One cannot be expert of all subjects, and the development of this model needs a team of experts. And of course, it's incomplete without comparison, which leads us to a little advertisement of my very own think tank, and follow-up studies will be updated about other countries and other ports' competitiveness, and on this Sino-Arctic Observer, and it is coming soon. So we are forming a team of excellent minds to contribute to this information hub for Arctic China-related policy, laws, and geopolitics. If you're interested, contact me for cooperation either long-term or ad hoc basis. So keep tuned, and thank you.
Thank you, Bianca. You had some big plans for Iceland. Now it's time for discussion. We are running a bit late of timetable, but we can still take the panel discussion and questions from the audience. Please.
Thank you for excellent presentation. I believe that your job will do a great contribution to the further research of the Arctic. Thank you very much. And my question is that do you have ever considered about the world energy revolution, the effect of world energy revolution, like shale gas and shale oil? Can you get? So what's this kind of revolution will have impact on the Arctic exploitation, like oil and gas exploitation? Thank you so much.
This was to Bianca, or who wants to answer? Yes, Bianca? Or
Is it directed to me?
Yeah, to whom? All, okay. Everyone, okay. So we take this first, and those who want can answer to this question.
So in the DMA project, we can take all parameters into account. We haven't already, because we just initiated it, so we started only in the first phase. But I would love to have some input and cooperation with it, if you have some ideas.
I think, as far as I can think of, there are two major impacts of this revolution. First, there will be, of course, increased oil and gas exploration and increased academic research and scientific research on both economic and environmental protection. And this will boost people's concern on the Arctic and on environmental issues. And second is that locations like Iceland, where renewable resources are abundant, is going to gain more competitive advantages. So that's my insight.
Okay, let's make a little comment about energy revolution. See, in China nowadays, it's very important to reform some industry because the environment problem arose in China very much. So we try to transfer the energy use. Especially nowadays, we pay a lot of attention on LNG. You see, we have signed some contracts with Russia to get LNG from by a pipeline. But according to my thinking, because my major about shipping, so I think we also have another way to get LNG from Russia, Norway, or other Arctic states. So also, I will continue to analyze if it is costless to transport by ship to get LNG from Arctic states to China, or compare with the pipeline nowadays we signed with Russia to get LNG from the pipelines. So this is our further study, I think. I hope you can care about that. We will publish them if we get the achievement. Thank you.
In my view, about the USA's from the imported LNG from the world to maybe potentially and in future maybe become export state. I think maybe it's a different effect to Arctic states because Arctic states have very different size of the energy. So this trend is have effect USA and Canada delay pipeline to exploration Alaska, but maybe speed up the other region of the Arctic region, for example, Russia or Norway. So I think the same event maybe have different effects in different Arctic states. I think another thing I think in China view about the transportation of the energy or some resource natural resource transportation to China. It's neighbor of the biggest Arctic states, Russia, and Arctic states. Russia has very big size of natural resource, but in transportation area, China import the Russia's natural resource from the pipe near the China, not through the NSR something. So in China view, maybe most demand for transportation to on NSR maybe is container shipping, I think. Just all.
Any more questions? Ambassador first, and then you.
I think I have rather an answer than a question, because a question was asked in the interesting presentation of Mr. Zhang Xia about what is the legal basis for the eastern borderline of the Northern Sea route. The answer is very simple. That's 1990, our treaty with the United States on the demarcation of our maritime zone in the Bering Strait, and further on you can find the answers why the line goes along this way and not in the other way in that particular agreement. But I have another comment and another idea. I think that there's more changes in the new regulations of maritime shipping in the Northern Sea route that we've introduced. And I think that our major thrust was to simplify the procedure. Because what we did in the new regulations was not lowering down the safety threshold, but greatly simplifying the procedure. For example, before you had to table your application no later than 10 months in advance. Now you have to table this application no earlier than 4 weeks in advance, and you are guaranteed to have a reply within 10 days before your planned shipment. Before you had to use faxes, now you can do emails. Everything is in the website. Everything is opened. Everything can be analyzed. You can see that. So the procedure, the facilitation of procedure, open transparency of procedure, is another important changes that's there. But as far as the substantial changes in the navigation regulations are concerned, I would warn you against understanding them as an invitation for independent shipping, independent sailing without escort of icebreakers, without piloting, although it's no more mandatory now, or as an invitation to sailing through the transpolar regions. I think that it is open now. If it's your choice now. But I would warn you to take it as such, because last year, judging from the practice we had last year we had 73 transshipments, cross transshipments. But we had a practice. We saw that some ship owners understood this liberty as this freedom, as a chance for cutting down costs. We are not very greedy. Of course, we are commercially interested in having input in using our quite natural competitive hedges, the Northern Sea route. But we are not so greedy. What we have in mind is assuring the safety. We are responsible for your safety within this red lines of the Northern Sea route that you've mentioned. And this is the most important thing that we have in mind. Please, don't forget that your safety should go first. And ice-free Arctic doesn't mean that it's challenge-free Arctic. I've taken myself twice the trip across the Northern Sea route, and I've heard so many stories about it's a world within the world. The ice in the Arctic, ice on the Northern Sea route, and sometimes the ice-free waters can be more dangerous than ice-covered waters. Because, for example, underwater submerged huge pieces of iceberg, which are not seen by radars, can be like mines and can be more dangerous than the visible visible ice on the surface of water. Last year we had 3 cases. One of them rather severe, when there was a danger, very severe casualty, because these 3 ships, they dared to travel across the North Sea route on their own. No piloting, no ice escorting. And one of them, with Norwegian ship, we were just on the verge of very severe, severe catastrophe. So happily we avoided that. But still, we should learn from practice, learn from history. Situation not so simple as that, not so simple as that. And because of ice and because of the lines of the Northern Sea route close to the coasts and all the safety infrastructure is there, it's very shallow, especially in the eastern part of the Northern Sea route. Piloting and icebreaker escorting is still a must. Again, if you do that, we think that the reason should prevail. For ship owners, that should be a matter of simple economic calculation. Because if you don't do that, then the assurance companies will charge you 10 times more than if you pay some money for ice escorting, etc. So our vision is such as so. Please don't forget about your safety. this sailing in the Northern Sea route is not simply, not only about cutting costs. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. And then I have seen two more questions, first from Gail and then from this side.
Yeah, I have a layman or layperson question about the hub, the idea of having hubs for shipping. I talked to some shipping people in Denmark, and they said that stopping a huge ship on its way to somewhere in Europe is too costly, and it will not happen. They will continue to the end destination and do whatever they are going to do there. So to have hubs somewhere in the Arctic is kind of a dream, but it's not substantial. I would like to hear your opinion, especially your opinion about this matter. Thank you.
And that was a direct question for you, I think, and others can also comment.
Thank you very much for your question. So firstly, I hope to respond to Ambassador's comment. I think Ambassador's speech make me more confident to think non-Arctic states should combine with Arctic states together to do something, especially for the business or like shipping business. So if without Arctic states' help, we cannot go through the NSR very easy. So in the future, we might setting up some information system to know from our enterprises, people can know very early what's the situation in the Arctic route. So they can prepare how to do when they arrive at or go through the Arctic Passage. So that's very important. So that's not a non-business with non-Arctic states. That's also our business, I think, from this view. And another question to the from NASA professor about. Can you mention again? Sorry about that.
Is there a need for a hub?
Yeah. Have a problem. Also, we should cooperation together to think about that. What location is better to build a new harbor to decrease the cost, the total cost, and to make the competitiveness of the Arctic Passage. So that's important. So I think there's a place. It's sure to find the location to build a new harbor to enhance the competitiveness of the Arctic Passage. Otherwise, we don't need to talk about Arctic Passage here. Why we talk about that? We want to use it. How to use it? How make its competitiveness? That's our responsibility. Our academic scholars' responsibility to do that. So I hope in the future I have more chances to come here to make my comments here. Thank you.
Thank you. We are running a bit late, so we take two more questions, and then you can all comment to the points you want to comment. First you, and then you in a row.
Thank you. Quick comments and a suggestion. I think the Zhang Tiantian has done a good job on her research. He showed the Icelandic position on the oceanic network, while with your statistics, I think maybe would be better to distinguish the transportation statistics between the intra-Arctic transportation and the trans-Arctic position. That would be better. Okay.
Yes. And please, the last question.
Yeah, I have a question for Hera. Yeah, I'm very interested in your project, DMA. I think this is an innovative model.
Thank you.
And because time is too short for you to make a detailed introduction, I think that for policy is very important to make a decision. But sometimes no decision is much better than wrong decision. So that's your model. I think is give us an idea about that. What I want to make comments that your model maybe could be a public good for us to know how can we make it based on your data, based on the evidence about to make no matter is from the government and also the private sector can make their own right decision. This is something that especially some governments sometimes interest-based policy and policy-based evidence sometimes. So I think I know that you have a different phases step by step. My question is when you will be finished your project that be accessibility for the people around here in the circle to want to use that, because that's can as a public good that can help us to make a right decision in right destination, and also maybe before that, before you finish your project, there's some the interim of the introduction about paper about your model. Can let us know, can be shared with us about how can we use your model to adapt it to our others in different fields, their decision process. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, and I will not take more questions. First, Hera can answer, and then the others will have the possibility to comment on something if you like. Please, Hera.
So we can, from now on, we can actually take two routes. It depends on the cooperation and participants of people. So the first thing we could do is that we could build the big model. We could collect all the parameters and go from there. I think the right approach would to go from the parameters that I have defined, and it's continuous work on that to establish if the relationship is positive or negative, strong or low, and also the impact. And then we have to go from there and to do a mathematical model and to start modeling. So then we would just have we could call it a light version of the model. But if we build it up like that, it's easier to find flaws and bugs and to iterate the process. And by doing that, then we can add parameters as we grow. So it will be bigger and bigger. This, of course, depends on cooperation. It depends on how we can work with other people, and that's what I was also advertising for. But we have continued. We have still some master students in the Reykjavik University that are continue working with those parameters. So normally that would take maybe 2 years after that. I am writing a paper, but you can also read. You can also just get a copy of my master thesis, both on the internet or by contacting me. And yeah, I would be happy to talk to you afterwards also to give you more information, because I know we're running out of time. I hope this answered your question.
Thank you. And do our panelists, do you want to have some final word or comment on the topics?
May I just make a quick mention about the question about why we need a hub in the middle of the ocean. I'm not expert in shipping, but in my research, I come across several practical reasons why having a hub in the ocean is definitely a plus size. First of all, it's a change means of transportation. You could change from a small ship to a bigger ship, and you load your cargo. And second is ship repair. If you encounter minor technical problems that you require some online repairment, that would be nice to have a hub. And also emergency reaction. The closer it is, the faster to get there to deal with the emergency, either safety or oil spill. And the last one is logistics. You could just change your add fuel or ballast water and garbage disposal. So that's what I can think of.
Thank you. And do you want to add something?
No, thank you.
Okay.
Well, just one comment is that we are very eagerly to the shipping road to be open very, very completely. So this need our cooperation. That's a kind of cooperation. No matter how many countries who want to join the cooperation, just the road can be done. That's okay, I think. So that's also beneficially to Arctic states and to non-Arctic states, even to the global nations, because according to my calculation, the fuel consumption reduced very, very much. That's impact on the whole global, not only on the Arctic area. So I think we should do on the ground for the Arctic affairs.
I have some brief comment about the Arctic sea route shipping. Maybe they are very, very different assessment of the Arctic sea route from the different company from different states to have very different results. I think I just mentioned one is about the container ship. I think they are very different demand of the type of the shipments with container ship or with the bulk ship. To bulk ship is just need few months to open. It's point to point from the natural resource to a steel industry. It's just simple. But to container ship, it's keep it in time. It's not arrive the container port. Cannot arrive and cannot lag 1 day or some hours. So I think this issue is not when the sea ice open melting. I think this issue became to another issue, is how to keep the constant speed of the vessel, container vessel, to get to the port. So I think in future maybe we need to jointly to assessment different shipment of the Arctic sea route.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Okay. Thank you, and thank you all for the discussion. Now I would announce that the lunch is served at the university canteen that way, and next session will start at 1 p.m. straight, and I would ask the speakers of the next session to be here 10 minutes earlier to load the computer with the presentation. And now we are heading to the lunch. Thank you all.
Exactly, because when I saw your model, I thought in the beginning we're typically doing the same thing. Talk to you later. Thank you. Thank you.
So this is my car. So for another company.
I like it.
Yeah, this is company who works on.
Okay. That's why the policy making is very important. The process is very super logic and scientific.
Yeah.
So that's why I like your presentation.
Because normally when you do this,
That's why so many people they are so confident about their policy, but they are wrong. So that's why I said no policy, no decision is much better than wrong decision. So they use the resources on wrong direction. That means what? Yeah. In China, sometimes you say, take a time, you think about it, and then make decisions. So I just think that it can change. If you have published your paper, so you know, you can learn from it.
I can send you the link to my
Convenient.
research.
Okay,
And then
you
can
get
have
it.
it. I can send you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm going to give you my card as well. So I have actually 2 cards here. Thank you. So this is my card. I work for a company called Dutchland, and this is my co-worker. I work as well because I need to make money, right?
Oh.
No, this is Thordur. This is the man that I work with on this project. So yes. It's a cooperation between both companies and the university. So it's Thordur. Thordur is and myself, and there's other people included in that. But we want to bring it to the next phase.
This afternoon,
Yes. Yes.
I feel very closely related with you.
Okay, that's good. But that's good. That means we can benefit from each other.
My presentation topic is the uncertainty of art, and this impact on Chinese art strategy.
Yeah.
So
I think it's a perfect fit. Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
Uncertainty, I know this.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay, I'm excited to listen to your lecture. Then.
But actually, I don't know what kind of cooperation you need.
Well, the cooperation, there's a lot of cooperation I have in mind. First, we also...
What about DMA?
The DMA, we both need also, first of all, we need to, of course, define all of the parameters. So I need to find different researchers that know about those parameters, and also funding, of course. So that would be the main participant that I'm looking for, to have a more research fund to continue. Mm-hmm. Yeah, 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 thank you. Þakka þér fyrir.
Mjög athyglisvert erindi sem vorst með þarna. Kort.
Já, ég er með 2 kort. Kortið mitt, ég heiti Hera.
Já.
Og svo er ég með kortið hans Þórðarvíking sem er hérna, sem er hjá HR. Í fullu starfi. Ég vinn í fullu starfi hjá Össur.
Já.
Kláraði núna masterinn fyrir.
Já. Og hérna, ritgerð þína og þessi glæfurnar þína, eru þau á netið på staðar?
Já, þetta er á skemmunni, ritgerðin mín. Og ég get sendið þér linkin, ef þú vilt. Þá getur við á kynninguna mína. Ekkert mál. Já. Innbrúsglærur. Kærar þakkir. Hi. Thank you. Thank you.
I found some similarities between my presentation and yours.
Okay.
We can discuss later.
Yes. So here is my card, and this is my colleague at the Howard. So we work together at this project. So he's full-time.
So currently you only focus on the economic parameters,
yes,
not change to security, foreign policy. There are so many issues.
We
But
need
how
to
you
grow.
get your data? By survey, by data collection? It's
Well, that's what I'm asking, like for cooperation with a research fund to continue. But this is the data I got from my doing a master thesis. But this is just my card, so you have my email. But
I will send.
Yeah.
I will send you my master thesis.
Yes, and I can send you the link to my research and also the presentation.
It's very good.
Yes.
I will send you email. It's good. I will send you. Okay. Very good.
Thank you very much.
This is your website.
Yeah, but this is my company, another company that I work for, but I'm going to write to you. So it's easier.
Try to use the data analysis. Very good.
I was studying at this university while I did this research, But I finished the research, so now I work with this company. But it's not it's not in Arctic. But then you just have all my contacts. It's easier.
Very good.
Okay.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. Hæ! Hvað segir þú? Er það ekki? Gaman að sjá þig. Sömuleiðis, gott að sjá þig. Já, það ekki núna. Ég var að klára. Mér strömmir. Það, ég spurði því hérna áðan, ég bara ætlaði enda að segja það, var að leita sko. Ég var að klára. Jú, ég held það. Ég alltaf komið fullt af kortum og var ekki komin ennþá niður af því að fólk alltaf að koma að spyrja hvað er alltaf. Það hlýtur að vera jákvætt. Er það ekki? Takk.
Good enough.
Only me from Shanghai Maritime, some others from Shanghai Ocean. Beginnings.